They say Elon Musk has conquered space, electric cars, and even artificial intelligence. But what if his biggest secret isn't a business empire, it's a woman? Rumors are swirling about a mysterious figure said to be Musk's secret wife. A woman so powerful and wealthy she could rival him in fortune and influence. Who is she? How did she stay hidden from the world's eyes? Let's uncover the truth behind Elon Musk's secret wife. The woman who married the world's richest man twice. When you think about the women in Elon Musk's life, your mind probably jumps to Grimes, the avant-garde musician who gave their children names that look like Wi-Fi passwords, or perhaps Justine Wilson, his first wife and the mother of his 6 children. But there's another woman in Musk's romantic history who has a story so remarkable, so filled with twists and turns, that it reads more like a Hollywood screenplay than real life. Her name is Tallulah Riley, and she holds a distinction that no other woman on earth can claim. She married the world's richest man not once, but twice. And then, in what might be the most civilized endings to any celebrity marriages in modern history, she divorced him twice, walked away with over $20 million, maintained a close friendship with her ex-husband, and went on to build a life that many would consider the definition of having it all. Tallulah Riley's journey from a 22-year-old British actress meeting a 37-year-old tech entrepreneur in a London nightclub to becoming what she herself calls Musk's perfect ex-husband is a masterclass in grace, resilience, and the art of maintaining human connection, even when romantic love fades. Born Tallulah Jane Riley Milburn on September 26, 1985 in Hertfordshire, England, Riley grew up in an environment that valued education and creativity. She attended the prestigious Cheltenham Ladies' College and later pursued a degree in natural sciences at the Open University, demonstrating early on that she possessed both intellectual curiosity and artistic ambition. Her entry into professional acting came at the tender age of 17, when she appeared in an episode of Agatha Christie's Poirot in 2003, marking the beginning of a career that would see her work alongside some of the most respected names in film and television. Riley's breakthrough role came in 2005 when she was cast as Mary Bennet in Joe Wright's adaptation of Pride and Prejudice, starring opposite Keira Knightley and Matthew McFadden. Her portrayal of the awkward, bookish middle sister of the Bennet family earned her critical recognition and opened doors to more substantial roles. That same year, she made her stage debut in a revival of The Philadelphia Story at London's Old Vic Theatre, demonstrating her range as a performer who could command attention both on screen and on stage. Throughout the mid to late 2000s, Riley built an impressive resume that included roles in the British comedy St. Trinian's and its sequel, where she played Annabel Fritton, the head girl at a chaotic boarding school. She appeared in 2 episodes of Doctor Who in 2008 as Miss Evangelista, a character that endeared her to science fiction fans around the world. She had a role in Richard Curtis's The Boat That Rocked, released as pirate radio in the United States, a comedy about a 1960s offshore radio station that featured an ensemble cast of British acting talent. But perhaps most impressively, Riley secured a cameo in Christopher Nolan's mind-bending thriller Inception in 2010, appearing as the blonde woman disguised for Tom Hardy's character Eames. While the role was small, being part of a Nolan film that would go on to become a cultural phenomenon and earn multiple Academy Awards nominations was a significant achievement. In 2011, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts named her a Brit to Watch, a recognition given to rising British talent that suggested Riley was on the cusp of even greater success in the entertainment industry. Musk's friend and SpaceX investor Bill Lee had organized this trip to London specifically to try to lift Musk's spirits and get him out of his own head for a few days. The trip had not gone particularly well up to that point. Musk had visited Aston Martin, hoping to tour the facility and perhaps find some inspiration, but the CEO had dismissed him as an amateur car builder, an insult that must have stung given that Musk was pouring everything he had into making Tesla succeed. He had also experienced severe stomach pains that were initially thought to be appendicitis, though they turned out to be stress-related. By the time they arrived at Whiskey Mist, Musk was not exactly in the frame of mind one typically associates with meeting the love of your life. A club promoter at Whiskey Mist had invited a group of young women to join them, including Tallulah Riley. In interviews years later, Riley would recall her first impressions of Musk with a mixture of amusement and fondness. She remembered him seeming quite nervous and shy, and she initially thought that he probably didn't often talk to young actresses, so she decided to be kind and ensure he had a pleasant evening. She later laughed at this assumption, realizing that Musk had probably spoken to many attractive women before her. But that initial instinct to be kind, to put someone else at ease, reveals something fundamental about Riley's character that would define her relationship with Musk throughout their years together. Riley was struck by how different Musk was from the other men the promoter tried to introduce to their group. While Musk showed polite interest interest in the conversation, he wasn't aggressively trying to impress anyone or showing off his wealth. What particularly stood out to Riley was that Musk asked permission before putting his hand on her knee, a gesture of respect and consideration that she found endearing. In an era where many wealthy, successful men might feel entitled to touch whomever they pleased, Musk's respectful approach immediately distinguished him in Riley's eyes. As the evening progressed, Riley and Musk found themselves deep in conversation, and it quickly became clear that they shared an intense intellectual chemistry. Riley described Musk as very charming and the most interesting and eccentric person she had ever met. When they arrived at his hotel room, Musk pulled out his laptop and began showing Riley videos of rocket launches, not as some sort of euphemism or pretext, but because he genuinely wanted to share with her the thing he was most passionate about in the world. He showed her footage of SpaceX's launches, explained the technical challenges of orbital mechanics, discussed his vision for making humanity a multiplanetary species, and talked about Mars colonization with the enthusiasm of a child describing their favorite toy. Riley, who had initially thought "come watch rocket videos" was some sort of euphemism, quickly realized that Musk had literally meant exactly what he said. He wanted to share his passion for space exploration with someone, and he had chosen her. For some women, this might have been disappointing or off-putting, but for Riley, it was revelatory. Here was a man who was so consumed by his vision for the future, so genuinely passionate about advancing human civilization, that romance and physical intimacy took a back seat to showing someone the rockets he was building. This moment, this completely unconventional first date, set the tone for a relationship that would be deeply intertwined with Musk's work, his dreams, and his all-consuming drive to achieve seemingly impossible goals. Over the following days, Riley and Musk spent more time together, and what started as a chance meeting in a nightclub rapidly evolved into something much deeper. They went on what Riley described as a whirlwind series of dates in a single day. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What happened next shocked even their closest friends and family members. After knowing each other for just 10 days, Elon Musk proposed to Tallulah Riley. 10 days. Not 10 months, not even 10 weeks, but 10 days from their first meeting to a marriage proposal. They became engaged, and suddenly Riley found herself in a relationship with a man who was not only brilliant and ambitious, but also came with significant baggage. 5 young children from his previous marriage to Justine Wilson, twins and triplets, 2 companies that were hemorrhaging money and might not survive the year, and psychological stress so severe that it was manifesting in physical symptoms. What Riley couldn't have fully understood at the time was just how all-consuming Musk's business struggles had become. During this period, Musk was experiencing night terrors, screaming in his sleep. Riley would wake up in the middle of the night to find Musk thrashing and shouting, his subconscious mind wrestling with the impossible choices he faced during his waking hours. She genuinely worried that he might suffer a heart attack from the stress, that she might wake up one morning to find the man she had just agreed to marry dead beside her from the sheer psychological and physical toll of trying to keep Tesla and SpaceX alive. But rather than retreat from this intensity, Riley leaned into it. She provided emotional support, helping to plow resources into his companies during what she called a family-wide effort to keep them afloat. This wasn't just about being a supportive girlfriend or fiancée. Riley was actively participating in the all-hands-on-deck scramble to save Musk's companies. She integrated into his family life, taking on the role of stepmother to his 5 children, and tried to provide some stability and normalcy in what must have been an incredibly chaotic household. Riley described being actively involved in Musk's world of rockets and cars and things blowing up, emphasizing that she found the environment stimulating rather than isolating. For a young woman with a background in natural sciences and an intellectual curiosity about technology, being immersed in the cutting edge of electric vehicle development and private space exploration must have been thrilling, even as it was also undoubtedly exhausting and stressful. One anecdote from this period perfectly captures both Musk's intensity and his underlying romanticism. On Christmas Eve, Musk realized he'd forgotten to get Riley a gift. For most people, this would be an embarrassing but ultimately minor oversight. You apologize, promise to make it up to them, maybe go shopping the day after Christmas. But Musk, in characteristic fashion, couldn't let it stand. He ventured out barefoot into the snow at midnight to fetch a bouquet of flowers, trudging through the freezing cold because he needed to do something, anything to show Riley how much she meant to him. When he returned with the flowers, he told her, "I just wanted to show you how much I love you." As 2008 turned into 2009 and then 2010, Musk's business situation gradually improved. SpaceX successfully launched its Falcon 1 rocket on the 4th attempt, securing a contract with NASA that would keep the company alive. Tesla secured additional funding and began production of the Model S, the vehicle that would ultimately transform the company from a niche manufacturer of expensive sports cars into a legitimate automotive industry player. The crisis had not completely passed, and there would be many more challenges ahead, but Musk had survived the worst of it, and Riley had been there beside him through it all. On September 25, 2010, Elon Musk and Tallulah Riley were married at Dornoch Cathedral in the Scottish Highlands. The choice of venue was significant. Musk has fond personal ties to Scotland, and the intimate cathedral setting provided a romantic backdrop that blended Riley's British heritage with Musk's South African roots. The ceremony was small and private, without the media circus that typically accompanies celebrity weddings. For a brief moment it seemed like maybe, just maybe, they had weathered the storm and were entering calmer waters. Riley had essentially paused her own career after their 2010 wedding to help raise Musk's children, moving into his Bel Air mansion in Los Angeles and taking on domestic responsibilities that many women her age were actively trying to avoid. She was in her mid-20s, an age when most actresses are trying to build their careers and take advantage of youth-oriented roles, and instead she was playing stepmother to 5 children under the age of 6, while her husband worked 18-hour days and frequently traveled for business. In March 2012, after only about 18 months of marriage, Elon Musk filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The first marriage to Tallulah Riley was over, or so everyone thought. The divorce, the reconciliation, and the second marriage. When Elon Musk filed for divorce from Tallulah Riley in March 2012, it could have easily become another ugly celebrity split, filled with leaked information to tabloids, bitter disputes over money, and lawyers trading accusations in legal filings. After all, Riley was entitled to a significant portion of Musk's assets under California's community property laws, and she could have made the divorce difficult and expensive if she had chosen to do so. But what actually transpired was remarkable in its civility, and would set the stage for one of the most unusual post-divorce relationships in recent memory. The divorce was settled quickly and amicably, with Riley receiving a settlement of $4.2 million in cash and assets. To put this in perspective, this represented only about 0.6% of Musk's estimated $680 million net worth at the time. Riley could almost certainly have received much more if she had fought for it in court. California is a community property state, meaning that assets acquired during a marriage are typically divided equally between spouses unless there's a prenuptial agreement specifying otherwise. And while there was indeed a prenuptial agreement in place that governed the division of property, Riley still could have pushed for a larger settlement based on factors like the brief length of their marriage, their standard of living during that time, and her contributions as a stepmother to his children. But Riley chose not to fight. The settlement was structured with an initial $500,000 upfront payment, followed by $900,000 immediately after her lawyers signed the judgment documents, with the remaining balance of approximately $2.8 million to be paid out over the next 9 years. She also retained specific personal items, including a Cartier watch, a Gucci watch, some diamond jewelry, and her Tesla Roadster, which was valued at around $100,000. No ongoing alimony or spousal support was mentioned in public reports, and the entire process was handled with a level of discretion and maturity that is exceedingly rare in high-profile divorces. Musk announced the divorce on Twitter, now X, with a message that was remarkably warm and affectionate for someone who had just filed to end their marriage. It was an amazing 4 years. I will love you forever. You will make someone very happy one day. Think about that statement for a moment. By July 2013, just over a year after their divorce was finalized, Elon Musk and Tallulah Riley remarried in a low-key ceremony. When asked about the decision to remarry, Riley explained that it felt silly to be together unmarried after having been spouses, saying, "We were saying this is my husband, this is my wife. Oh wait, no, we're not that anymore. We better be that again." The remarriage seemed to be driven partly by habit. They had been married. They were still together. So being married just felt like the natural state of affairs, and partly by a genuine desire to recommit to each other and try to make the relationship work. It's worth noting that a separate prenuptial agreement was likely signed for the second marriage, as the original 2010 prenup did not apply to this new marriage. This suggests that both Musk and Riley were entering the second marriage with clear eyes about the possibility that it might not work out, and they wanted to have financial arrangements in place to make any potential future divorce as smooth as possible. For a while, Meanwhile, the second marriage seemed to be going better than the first. Riley continued supporting Musk's ventures and family, and she had learned from the first marriage what the rhythms of life with Musk looked like. She knew he would work impossibly long hours, that his attention would often be consumed by whatever crisis was unfolding at Tesla or SpaceX, that family dinners and normal domestic routines would always take a back seat to the demands of running multiple companies. But acceptance doesn't make those sacrifices any easier to live with day after day, year after year. The old issues that had plagued their first marriage, Musk's demanding schedule, the challenge of Riley maintaining her own career while serving as stepmother to his children, the feeling of being in a relationship with someone whose first love was always his work, began to resurface. In December 2014, just a year and a half into their second marriage, Musk filed for divorce again. But then something remarkable happened. 7 months after filing for divorce, Musk withdrew the petition. He had changed his mind, or perhaps Riley had convinced him to give the marriage another chance, or maybe they had gone to couples therapy and worked through some of their issues. For several more months, they tried again to make the relationship work. Musk later told Forbes that they had taken time apart to test if absence makes the heart grow fonder, essentially conducting an experiment to see if their feelings for each other would strengthen if they spent time separated. The experiment failed. By March 2016, after 6 months of living separately, Tallulah Riley filed for divorce. This time there would be no reconciliation, no withdrawal of the divorce petition, no remarriage a year later. Riley, who had just turned 30, had decided that enough was enough. The second divorce was finalized in October 2016, and this time the settlement was substantially larger, $16 million in cash paid up front. In addition to the cash, Riley received various other assets, though specifics are not detailed in public records. These likely included high-end jewelry, designer fashion items, and possibly other luxury goods from the marriage. Following the divorce, Riley owned and sold a Bel Air home in Los Angeles for nearly $2.4 million in 2017, which may have been part of her assets from the settlement, though it's not explicitly tied to the divorce in public records. Across both divorces, Riley received over $20 million from Musk, plus the various assets and personal items she retained. By any measure, this was a life-changing amount of money, enough to provide complete financial security and independence for the rest of her life. But what's particularly notable is that both divorces were uncontested, with both parties waiving their rights to appeal. There were no leaked stories to the press about Musk being a difficult husband or Riley being a gold digger. There were no dramatic courtroom confrontations or attempts to paint the other party in a negative light to win public sympathy or gain leverage in negotiations. Instead, Musk tweeted positively about Riley following the second divorce, calling her an incredible woman who is kind, loving, and beautiful. And Riley, for her part, has consistently spoken about Musk with warmth and affection in interviews, even years after their final divorce. Riley has said that she looks back on her time as a stepmother and the overall journey with Elon with incredible fondness. She has emphasized their very deep love and connection, and has called Musk the perfect ex-husband who looks out for her. Think about that phrase, perfect ex-husband. It's not a term you hear often because most divorced couples are decidedly not perfect to each other after their marriages end. But Riley was describing a relationship where the legal and romantic bond had been dissolved, yet the underlying care, respect, and friendship remained intact. One particularly telling moment that illustrates their ongoing connection came in 2022, when Riley sent Musk private messages encouraging him to acquire Twitter, now X, urging him to fight wokeism and viewing social media as a scourge being exploited for social engineering. But their post-divorce relationship hasn't been without controversy. During their marriage, Riley and Musk visited Jeffrey Epstein's Manhattan townhouse together, a fact that came to light in public records and media reports, and raised uncomfortable questions about their connection to the convicted sex offender. Both Musk and Riley have provided differing accounts of the purpose of the visit. Riley claimed it was for a dinner, while Musk said it was unrelated to Epstein's criminal activities. In 2022, Riley was forced to publicly deny allegations that she had been procured for Musk as a child bride by Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's associate, issuing a statement refuting these claims. The Epstein connection is one of the darker shadows hanging over Riley and Musk's relationship history. A reminder that even relationships that seem to be conducted with the utmost civility and mutual respect can still have aspects that are troubling when examined more closely. Riley has acknowledged that her perspective on Musk is incredibly subjective and biased by love, saying in 2024, "I love the guy, so I'm incredibly subjective. You know what being in love is, right?" After their final divorce was finalized in October 2016, Riley was faced with the question that confronts anyone emerging from a significant relationship. Who am I now, outside of this partnership? relationship. For 8 years, from age 22 to 30, Riley's life had been largely defined by her relationship with Musk. Now, with over $20 million in divorce settlements and the freedom to chart her own course, Riley had to figure out what came next. Net worth and lifestyle of Tallulah. Riley's current net worth of $25.40 million comes primarily from 3 sources. The over $20 million she received across her 2 divorce settlements with Musk, earnings from her acting career, including roles in films like Pride and Prejudice, Inception, and TV series like Westworld, and income from her writing and directing projects, including book sales from novels like Acts of Love and The Quickening. The settlements represent the largest chunk of her wealth, but her career earnings and creative work have also contributed significantly to her financial independence. It's worth examining what Riley gave up or sacrificed during her 8 years with Musk to understand whether the $20+ million in settlements was fair or represents adequate compensation. Riley essentially paused her acting career after their 2010 wedding to help raise Musk's 5 children, living with them in California and taking on the day-to-day responsibilities of being a stepmother. She was in her early to mid-20s during this period, precisely the age when actresses often see the most opportunity and when building career momentum is crucial. In 2011, the British Academy of Film and Television Arts had named Riley a Brit to watch, suggesting she was on the cusp of potentially significant career breakthroughs. But instead of capitalizing on that recognition, she was changing diapers, helping with homework, and providing emotional support to a man who was working 18-hour days and experiencing stress-induced night terrors. The opportunity cost of those years is difficult to quantify, but it's not unreasonable to suggest that Riley's career trajectory would have been very different if she had remained single and focused exclusively on acting during that crucial period of her 20s. There's also the less tangible but equally real cost of being in a relationship with someone as intense and demanding as Musk. Riley has described witnessing Musk having night terrors, screaming in his sleep, and fearing he might have a heart attack from stress. Imagine being 23 years old and dealing with that level of psychological burden, wondering if the man you love is going to survive the pressure he's putting on himself. What's particularly interesting is what Riley has done with her wealth post-divorce. She hasn't become a socialite who lives off divorce settlements and spends her days shopping and attending parties. Instead, she has refocused on her creative career, continuing to act in projects like Westworld and the 2022 miniseries Pistol, where she portrayed fashion icon Vivienne Westwood. She has written and published novels, including Acts of Love in 2021 and The Quickening in 2022. She wrote, directed and starred in the romantic comedy Scottish Muscle in 2015, demonstrating ambitions beyond just being in front of the camera. Riley sold her Bel Air home in Los Angeles for nearly $2.4 million in 2017, marking a physical and symbolic departure from her California life during the Musk years. She eventually settled in the English countryside, returning to her roots and building a life that looks very different from the one she had as Mrs. Elon Musk. This suggests someone who values autonomy, creative fulfillment, and a sense of purpose over simply maximizing wealth or maintaining a high-profile lifestyle. Riley got engaged to British actor Thomas Brodie Sangster in July 2023 and married him in a traditional ceremony at St. George's Church in Anstey, Hertfordshire on June 22, 2024. Brodie Sangster, known for roles in Love Actually, The Maze Runner, and Game of Thrones, is a successful actor in his own right, but he's not a billionaire industrialist trying to colonize Mars. The couple now lives on a rural farm in Hertfordshire, where they raise chickens, bake sourdough bread, drink raw milk, and attend church. This lifestyle represents about as dramatic a departure from her Bel Air mansion days as one could imagine. Riley has described herself on social media as a promiscuous hobbyist, pursuing acting, writing, directing, and various rural activities with equal enthusiasm. She has embraced elements of what some might call a traditional lifestyle, though she has explicitly denied being a full trad wife in interviews, clarifying that she maintains independence and doesn't adhere strictly to traditional gender roles. Her Christianity has become more central to her identity, with Riley crediting it for providing moral structure in her life. Riley has reflected on having had 3 different relationships in a 2024 interview: her 2 marriages to Musk and her current marriage to Brodie Sangster. She noted a deep love and connection with Musk, but highlighted the stability in her new marriage. This is someone who has learned from experience, who has figured out what works for her and what doesn't, and who has the self-awareness us to recognize that loving someone and being compatible with them as a life partner are two separate things. From a certain perspective, that's a pretty rich life regardless of the specific number in her bank account. Riley is living proof that you can be involved with someone as wealthy and famous as Elon Musk, have that relationship end, and come out the other side as a whole, healthy person with your dignity intact and your future full of possibilities. In a world where celebrity divorces often devolve into ugly public battles that leave both parties looking worse, Riley and Musk's ability to maintain mutual respect and genuine affection is genuinely remarkable. The story of Tallulah Riley and Elon Musk is ultimately a story about the complexity of human relationships, the difference between loving someone and being able to live with them, and the possibility of maintaining connection even when romance fails. It's about two people who tried, failed, tried again, failed again, and then figured out how to preserve what was valuable about their connection without the structure of marriage that clearly wasn't working for them. Or perhaps the lesson is simply that life is complicated, people are complicated, and relationships are complicated. And sometimes the best we can do is handle those complications with as much grace, honesty, and mutual respect as possible. By that measure, Tallulah Riley and Elon Musk have both succeeded admirably, even as their marriages failed. And maybe that's worth more than all the billions in the world. What are your thoughts on Musk and Tallulah Riley relationship? Share in the comments and click on the crads on screen for more.